Hey, what's up everyone? Morey here with the Performance Lab of California. We're going to do another breakdown here today on Donovan Bailey, 100-meter runner. He's one of the top 5 fastest 100-meter runners that we've ever seen, at least I know in the Olympics. And so just real quick, wanted to do a breakdown on him, talk about some of the good things, some of the not so good things that he can work on. I think one of the things that he could definitely work on, at least back in this time, would be his get off, his initial 2-3 steps. We'll just hop right into the breakdown. I mean, he really ends up catching everybody at the end, but his get off is what kind of slowed him down and put him a little bit behind the 8 ball. So we'll just hop right into the breakdown here. So we'll notice that with the steps, how he ends up really trying to reach out a lot with that first step. Well, there's a lot of guys, especially guys that end up a little bit more out in front of him, that already have their foot down on the ground. He's still reaching, and I know he's a longer guy, but he's still reaching. He just touched the ground right there when these other guys have already drive their other leg back through. So now they've all touched their second step down there. He's still off the ground with that second step. Still hasn't gotten it down yet. Okay, now he just touches down with the third step. And now these other guys are going down with their third step. This is all guys also on his third step. So, and you could see how because of the step, how he ended up being really pretty far behind there at the beginning, just because he wasn't really quick. That ends up being the big part of your initial takeoff, is going to be really adding some quickness to start getting the stride frequency up, and then as you go, then you start to be able to add a little bit more length into the actual run. So I think that's just an important concept to understand. I know if you're taller, you might want to go a little bit more on the stride lane just to try to pick up some ground, but overall, stride frequency is really the big focus when you're first getting going, and then from there you could really lengthen out that stride. And so since Donovan's been working on his stride really throughout the race, once he gets going, he really starts to pick it up, and that's when he starts to catch these guys and ends up being able to win the race, right? And now we'll go more into that side of it, but it's important to also think about the start, because all of it goes into helping you become a faster sprinter. And so I think if Donovan was able to focus a little bit more on that start, he would have been able to really make a big difference there. So what's really good with Donovan is primarily his left leg, and we could see, this is what ends up happening when you use kind of like your head and your core and your spine during a sprint, is you end up having one leg that's a little bit stronger than the other leg. And we can see here that Donovan does that. So with the left leg, he goes and he extends out, and with that kind of pull back phase, he also really gives his head, you can see that head tilt there, where he's really putting his core and his head into that actual movement, which really helps him pull back hard, and he gets a lot of power out of that left leg. And now when he comes back through with the right leg, he's getting a little bit more extension. He's not as focused on power with that right leg driving back, but then when his left leg goes back through, now you can see he's really cocking himself up. He's going to really pull back hard here, and every time he goes and he touches down with that left leg, it's like he gets a little speed boost forward in front of these guys to really make it so he was able to pull away from the pack. And just kind of an interesting thing to look at and see is his ability to really utilize that kind of core head movement in order to help him get a little bit more power out of that left leg specifically. Okay, he has really a tremendous reach here. Again, he's a longer guy, he has longer legs, so he's really able to work on that stride length. Or he has a really, one of his big strengths is his stride length, his ability to really extend out, drive that knee all the way up to about the same height as the hip, and then from there maintain that extension and then drive that leg through. Doesn't spend too much time on the ground there. Is able to kick off that leg pretty quickly, and then again you can see with that left leg, he drives that left leg up, really gets a lot of length with the left side. He has a little bit more range of motion. You can see the difference from when he drives the right leg up. He doesn't. His hips are a little bit more even. He's able to get a good amount of anterior, posterior tilt, as all these guys are. You have to be able to do that. But now when he drives that left leg up, he has a little bit more of that right hip is a little bit higher than the left hip. You can see how it's kind of shooting almost downhill there, which makes it so you end up creating a little bit more range of motion within that left leg. He also gets into a little bit more external rotation with that in that left leg, and now he really pulls back hard. So he really uses a lot of that muscle activation on that left leg to be his big force producer, which is again very interesting to see. We never actually got to get a good view from the front, but it looks like from as we keep on getting closer, you can see that he does a pretty good job of staying symmetrical. I mean, he gets that head flexion forward, then he goes back, and now he's in a pretty good neutral spine position with that right leg coming through. He maintains that position as he's running, and now at the left side, we missed the head bob just with that when the head pass there, but you can see how he goes into a little bit more extension. Again, this makes it so you end up using a little bit more core there. You can see that the spine goes into a little bit more of the lumbar spine goes into a little bit more flexion, right? He's an extension, and he works hard to get into flexion there, and then he pushes back off and gets into extension. That's where he gets a lot of power from. Right side, you still end up doing that, but just not to the same degree. Goes back into extension there, and so that's a good important concept to understand too. Is that as your leg is going out in front of you to leg to hip flexion, your back is going a lot into lumbar extension, and then it switches. So now you're pulling back into extension with your leg, and now your lumbar is going more into flexion. So that's where you have to have a good relationship between your core, your glutes, and your really your low back. So your low back has to be a part of being able to take the lumbar spine from flexion, which it's in when it's in natural maximal hip flexion, to so from lumbar extension and maximal hip flexion to then switching that into lumbar flexion with maximal hip extension in terms of how much power you're getting. This is where you really need to work on getting that good strong power within your glutes and your hamstrings. When that leg's straight and really being able to pull back here, that's where all your strengths come from. Now when you get this movement going, now it's almost just range of motion. Okay, when you're pulling back hard, you should just be pulling back, and this is what initiates all the power, and then the initiation or the power distribution then just takes you through this continual movement. So that muscle stays on the whole time, and now you're just getting into isometric contraction. If you're here trying to produce all your power, then you've really missed your power production. Your power production should be focused on here, extend, and now pull back. This is when you're using all those hips and hamstrings to drive hard, and then from here, now it's just going through cycle. You should just be toeing off, maybe using a little bit of the calf there, and that now you're cycling back through, and then the left leg should be going hard here. You can see he's even trying to move that head forward to really get that pull down hard, get a lot of activation within those hips to pull yourself underneath you, and now once you get to your legs underneath you, now you're just trying to drive up with that, again, maybe pushing off with those with that toe, using that calf, and then driving that heel right back up to your butt. So that's how that leg side could be. We went into a lot of detail there. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and reach out to me, Morey, M-O-R-E-Y, at yourperformancelab.com. There's a lot of critical things that you can learn from this video, from starting to how that cycle should be moving, and to even how the muscle activation should be as you're running. So definitely some critical parts of sprinting that we touched on here that could really make you just become that much faster. So as always, guys, thanks for watching these videos. And if you want to, go ahead and check out our ebook. We're going to put the ebook in the description below, make it so you can go ahead and fill that out. And then same thing with our 5-month online program. The link is in the description. Go ahead and just fill out the link, and then we will reach out to you, talk to you more about the program, how we could help you, and then really go from there. All right, so as always, guys, thanks for watching these videos, and we'll see you soon.